Perkins, Jimmy Winkfield, and Jimmy Lee, the predominance of the black jockey faded. Organized labor and new northern racetracks worked to shut out black riders. So the next black champions rose to prominence in big city sports with more open doors, bicycle racing and boxing. Athletics had now been firmly established as a road to success, and black America was ready to take what was offered, and then some. Nelson Vales won an Olympic silver medal here in this velodrome on the campus of California State, Dominguez Hills. He's one of the first world-class American cyclists in a long, long time, but he's not the first. A handful of people who watched Nelson win here in Los Angeles remember another black American, one who was the best in 1899. In winning races, the man they called Major Taylor did more than just bring home gold medals. He ushered in a new era for black athletes.
The Major took a brick out of the dam and opened a stream of black American victories. Before him, there were hundreds of years of vain hopes. Within a dozen years of Taylor's first world racing title, blacks had owned 2 other world championships and a world record. Racism was simply not strong enough to stand before his talent or his integrity. At the turn of the century, bicycle racing was at the peak of its popularity. It was the fastest, most dangerous sport on earth. And against the best competition and the worst odds, Major Taylor was very nearly unbeatable. He was the nation's best sprint cyclist for 3 straight years, beginning in 1898. In 1899, he won 2 world titles. This track record was made possible through a tremendous ability to get himself out of the jams his white competition worked so hard to get him into. Taylor's first professional experience on a bicycle was as a trick rider, and he saved a few tricks for riders who tried to pocket him or cut him off. But things grew worse instead of better. Taylor's religious and moral convictions kept him from racing on Sundays or in cities with discriminatory policies. For this, he was heavily fined and threatened with expulsion. The number of dangerous, high-speed clashes increased. Taylor had had enough. He quit the circuit. Major Taylor's daughter, Sidney Taylor Brown.
I'm very sure that his faith in God is what brought him through many things. My father had very serious falls, and he was subjected to a lot of things that could have cut him right down, but he had a lot of faith in God.
A bicycle manufacturer paid Taylor's fine so he could race again. Some sports writers also came to Taylor's aid. If he can ride a bicycle, or a horse, or play baseball as well as a white man, why should he be denied the privilege of demonstrating his ability? Such sentiments, perhaps inspired as much by respect for his moral standards as by recognition of his ability, helped Major Taylor usher in the new century with his 3rd straight championship in 1900.
He was respected all through his life. I know that. He was considered to be a very good role model for not only black children, black youngsters, but white too. And in our hometown, he was a sort of an idol. Everybody loved Major Taylor.
The hope that this hard road was actually leading somewhere gained momentum. Jesse Owens was an American. In 1936 in Berlin, nobody questioned his citizenship. For the first time, a black man was the national symbol of what is best in the American way of life. His 4 gold medals and his 4 Olympic records still stand as an Olympic track and field all-time best. Long before the Olympics, Hitler had heard about Owens. In 1935, in what still stands as the most incredible day in track and field history, Jesse Owens competed in a college meet in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and set 3 world records and equaled a 4th in one afternoon. The press had been challenging Hitler to name the Aryan who could beat the black son of an Alabama sharecropper. Hitler brashly promised that Lutz Long would defeat Jesse Owens in the long jump. For an agonizing moment in the preliminaries, Jesse himself feared that Hitler might be right. He scratched twice and was in danger of not making the finals. In a panic, he cried out to God for help. And suddenly, there was Lutz Long offering some friendly advice. Measure your steps carefully, he suggested, and then take off 6 inches farther back than necessary. In his last qualifying attempt, Jesse set a new record by taking off from the board with half a foot to spare. The friendship between the God-fearing black American and the unbelieving German Nazi grew strong. In the finals, in which Long and Owens took turns setting records, they encouraged each other. With Hitler watching, Jesse jumped last and farthest. The Aryan was defeated. The 36 Olympics belonged to a black American athlete. Jesse Owens always gave Lutz Long credit. I loved Lutz Long, he said later. He may not have believed in God, but God believed in him.
He was no exception.
Jesse's wife, Ruth Owens, remembers.
With the help of Lutz Long, with the broad jump, I'm sure that it made it a little easier for Jesse. I think that that was something that I'm sure Jesse really appreciated.
For 12 years after the 1936 Olympics, Jesse Owens and one other man shared the burden of black leadership, at least in terms of image. Jesse has had his critics, but no one can deny that when he was called upon, Jesse Owens represented the very best the human spirit had to offer the world, and the world knew it. The other man who shaped and carried the image of the black man in the 30s and beyond was Joe Louis. Like Jesse, Joe rose from obscure beginnings to find himself the center of world attention. Like Jesse, Joe and his supposed arch-enemy would become close friends. Despite these two, 20th century America would continue to kick against the truth of racial equality. There would be many setbacks, and yet sports arenas would continue to be packed with the people of a diverse nation who wanted to see blacks and whites compete with and against one another, and to watch unfold what is surely the greatest sports drama in history. Black Americans were determined to prove themselves against all the odds on this, the hard road to glory.